Alright, all you ghosts and ghouls of the video gaming world, welcome to another hell-raising, bitter survival edition of the DJ Smokey's Tales from the Disc. And for tonight's terrifying tale of terror provided to this mysterious entity that decided to haunt my life for the past 5 weeks, we've decided to end this year's month of horror with a tale from the video game none other than No More Room in Hell. A story that is right up your alley. So with the approval of a violent society, one last time for this year, I think it's time for us to see if we can truly survive any sort of condition at all costs against all odds as we get ready to paint the ghoulish picture. Woke up one night banging headache after a crazy night party with a couple of my friends celebrating the birth of my new baby girl. Man, I don't know how wild that party was, but I woke up in this jail cell, don't know where I was, but the first thing I would see is that the entire place was empty. Apparently, I was in the holding facility at the local police station, and this wasn't my first time here, so I made sure every single time when I went here to get a little bit of breathing room to keep a coat hanger underneath the prison cell bed that I usually would sleep in, to always make a little bit of an escape to try to get a snack or, to work off the hangover that I had. But I would realize over in the corner of my eye, I would see the keys of the correctional officer over in the corner just hanging there. I would say he would never leave those keys out that long, but I took it as an advantage to take the keys away from him to try to make my way out of here for a quick escape. Then I remembered I needed the keys to the actual door itself, and he was the one who had the key card on him. So chances are I figured he would be in the interrogation room, so I went into the interrogation room and crept quietly, and out the corner of my ear I would hear a noise. It sounded like somebody was chewing something or eating, and I assumed it was the officer chewing on another bag of potato chips, so I said, let me sneak in there, get his key card, and get the hell out of here. But when I peered around that corner, I would see a guy with no shirt on, pale skin, and on the ground in a pool of blood, just sitting there, still making that crunching sound. And as I went to reach for that key card on that table, while he was making that weird noise, I would realize that I would only see a pair of legs underneath them, but no body. And he would turn around and reveal that it was not only blood on his face, but organs hanging out of his mouth as he screamed and bolted toward me. So the first thing I decided to do when I saw that was kick the guy in the face, grab the key card, and run toward the garage door as quickly as I could. But as I made my way into that garage room to try to go through the shuttered doors, I would get a hangover cure straight from Mother Nature herself, as I would see 12 of those things waiting in there for me as I would pick up a shotgun I would see on the side of the room and try to blast my way through the front door exit of this police station. As I made my way further down the hallway, I would realize my situation would get worse, because it appeared that a whole bunch of people who was here as a final shelter resting place would all fall victim to whatever sort of disease or virus that got loose. And I would hear over the radio frequency that the city would go to hell in a handbasket before I knew it. I would have to quietly creep my way around all these standing creatures staring up at the lights, hoping to all God that they wouldn't recognize me. Every single time I would make a silent footstep toward the door, I would see one of them twitch and turn their heads over. But since I was so low to the ground, they couldn't see me. I guess they can only spot me by noise or scent. But since I decided to cover myself in the blood of the victims that I took out upstairs that had this horrible virus in them, they couldn't spot me. I was almost to the door. And then finally, I would run into the one officer who put me in the jailhouse in the first place, who would also be crawling on the ground, but not all of them. There was only half of his body on the ground crawling right next to me while he was still alive and made a horrible noise I would still remember to this day. The second he made that noise, the whole entire room decided to circle toward my direction, and without even thinking, the first thing I decided to do was shoot the officer on the ground, who was not even half of a man, and make a breakneck run for the door. Every single one of the zombies was clear of the way. I thought I was home free, but the second I tried to run through that door and shoulder rush my way through, another one of the zombies who was hiding behind the coat rack would grab me by the arm and bite me right in the arm as hard as he could. I punched him in the face and still tried to make my way out, running like hell through the other office buildings, only to truly make it toward the exit to realize that the town I once knew all went to hell. Buildings on fire. People running on the streets looking for help no matter where they could find it. Emergency vehicles on fire just traveling down the street with no drivers. And just the haunting screams of people screaming help with me with nothing to do that helped them. I looked at my arm and realized I got bit and started to change and started to feel sick. I knew then there was something wrong, but it's not until I heard the radio broadcast of what really was happening to me. They would say that anybody who'd come in contact with this disease, whether it be by getting bit, scratched, or even a blood transfusion, would turn into one of these things within the hour. After hearing that message, it felt like my heart sank into my feet. The first thing I would do before I would turn into one of those things was pull out my phone. I would call my wife and kids and tell them that I loved them. Tell them I was sorry. And realize that after going on that late night party, it would cost me the one thing that mattered to me the most, more than anything in this world. And that was my family. Seeing the fact that this whole town went to hell, who knows where they are right now, and if I'll ever see them again. And with that last bit of hope left in me all gone, I would do the one thing I knew what to do then. I took that shotgun with one shell left in the chamber. I pointed it toward myself while looking at the picture of my family. And then, before the zombies could crash in through the police station, I pulled the trigger. And as the sound of the 12-gauge gun going off, ringing throughout the entire town, would be another prime example of another sad story gone wrong in this new world that's gone straight to hell. And with that said, folks, wraps it up for another hell-raising survival at all cost edition of the DJ Smokey's Tales from the Disc. And with that, we'll be back with more right after this. So stay tuned.